year 2008, a government-funded team hunted down and caught a mass murderer. They had many things they needed to find out and research about him, but one of them was to see his resilience to pain and even execution. Over the next 2 years, they tried again and again to execute him, to put him down and put him out of his misery, using all methods they could think of, and every time he survived. Finally, the government-funded project decided and settled on the idea of cryogenically freezing their prisoner, hoping to discover a way that they could take him out, but also discover the trick to his survival. In the process, he managed to break free of his confinements, kill all of the people holding him hostage, and wound one of the scientists researching him and this whole process. And in this whole ordeal, breaks a canister of the cryogenic freezing tank, freezing himself and the researcher. Why does this sound familiar to you, and why have you not heard of it? Well, I'm sure you have heard of it. What are we talking about today? Only one of the best crappy horror movies of all history. Today, we're going to talk about Jason X. Now, released on November 9th, 2001 in Spain, and April 26, 2002 in the United States, running 92 minutes long, and on a budget between $11 and $14 million, Jason X is definitely not one of the greatest horror movies ever made, and it's honestly, in my opinion, not even one of the worst. Is it a great movie? Not really. But are there things to enjoy about it? Well, hell yeah. So basically the storyline is, and also, fair warning, I am getting sick. I can feel it and hear it in my voice. So you have to deal with that for this video, so I'm sorry. I'll try and make it quick so you don't have to listen to my congested face the entire time. Basically, in 2008, Jason Voorhees is captured by the United States government, who want to research and find out how he survives all of his crazy injuries and encounters with other people, and research all about him. And in the end, he ends up breaking containment, killing his captors, and getting cryogenically frozen like they intended, but also wounding and capturing one of the researchers as well. And then, cut to 455 years later, Earth has become so polluted it cannot support life, and humans have moved to new planets. Earth 2. A new planet, Earth 2. On a field trip to Earth, Professor Brandon Lowe, his android companion KM-14, intern Adrian Thomas, and students Sonaran, Janessa, Azrael, Kinza, Waylander, and Stoney explore the abandoned Crystal Lake Research Facility, finding the frozen bodies of Jason and Rowan. Rowan is the chick researcher who he gets frozen with him. But so they find them, and realizing that their bodies are still intact, they take them back to the ship with them and start to research the bodies. Now, since it's 500 years in the future, and the show is very optimistic, they have all these technical abilities to, like, help revitalize the bodies and rebuild them and everything. Oh, I almost forgot. Sorry. I feel to represent myself and my people. But so they bring the bodies back on the ship, and they start rebuilding them with their nanotech and everything. Now, when Rowan, the scientist who froze with Jason, comes back, she's immediately like, "Whoa, where is he? Where's Jason?" And they're like, "Don't worry, it's okay, we've got him in the other room." And she's like, "Oh. Alright, cool, where am I?" And they explain to her what happened, and she's like, "Damn, everyone I knew and loved is dead." Anyways, what's 500 years from now like? And Jason, for whatever reason, they're like, well, if it worked on her, we can try and rebuild him, which, horrible idea. So they rebuild Jason, and then basically it's Jason on a spaceship, killing people. God, what the There's a character in the show who's like a stoner character, and like he gets his arm cut off at one point, and he gets it put back on, and like, he's not even like, he's like, "Whoa, bro, my arm got cut off." And it's like, I can't help but feel like that was a self-insert character for whoever the writer was, who was just like, what if it was Jason but on a spaceship, and then passes the blunt, and everyone's like, it's crazy. Let's do it. Don't get me wrong, I love the movie, but like, you can't help but feel like, wow, this is definitely a stoner idea of a movie. So basically, the ship rebuilds Jason, and he starts killing off the students one by one. Meanwhile, Rowan, the scientist, is like, hey, you know the guy you rescued with me? He's not a friend of mine, he's a fucking killer. So they decide to try and capture him and everything. And they go through all these different ideas, and finally they have like these super soldiers from the future pull out all the stops and guns and try and kill him. And spoiler alert, it doesn't work. But then the android, who is in a relationship with the guy who created her, it's weird, but you know, it's whatever. She gets all tricked out, and she's like, well, if I can't, like, I gotta do whatever I can to protect my people I love. And so she gets tricked out in a new leather jumpsuit with a bunch of guns, and she shoots up Jason and like tries to destroy him. And it's like half his face is blown off, half his body is blown off, and he's all torn up. And so they're like, yeah, victory! Well, unbeknownst to them, the nanotechnology that rebuilds the bodies and everything, senses that there's an injured body on the ship, which I don't remember exactly how it senses him, but not all the people that he's fucking chopped in half and killed. Like, anyways, it goes to him and rebuilds his body, so he becomes rebuilt as Jason X, which is like, he's like half cybernetic looking, like futuristic Jason and half old. And then he... Oh, damn ads. Then he destroys the android chick who defeated him the first time and starts chasing the people down, killing them one by one. So they have to come up with like clever ideas to get rid of him. And I think one of the coolest aspects is one of the ways they do that is they trick him into walking through the holodeck on the ship, which, I mean, really it's like, why do you have a holodeck on the ship? I get it if it's like a school ship, I don't know. Anyways, they get him to walk through there, and so they simulate a forest like Crystal Lake, and then they simulate two topless co-eds who are like, hey, we like premarital sex and drugs and alcohol, do you want to play with us? So he stuffs them into their sleeping bags and beats them together like they're fucking like drumsticks, just like. Yeah. But the entire time they're like, ha 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 ha, this is fine, and he's like, obviously something's wrong here. Normally they scream in terror when they die. So finally, sorry, I'm very congested. So finally they get him, they like launch him out into space, and in the process several more people die. And finally it's down to like 3 of them left, and he's trying to break into their escape pod because they end up just like fucking blowing up the ship. It is insane. And then once he's out in space, they turn on the thrusters of the, I think it's the escape pod thrusters, and it just torches, and it finally like kills him, blows him up, and then his mask falls off and falls back down to Earth, and maybe that's what it is. It hits him and he goes flying into Earth's atmosphere, and as he's falling into Earth's atmosphere and burning away, his mask falls and lands in Crystal Lake and sinks down to the bottom. It's a train ride of a movie, dude. I definitely recommend watching it. I know I just spoiled some of the big parts, but like there's definitely several reasons to watch this. There's some really killer, forgive the pun, there's some killer deaths in there for a horror movie. One of them is when they're trying to launch, like, jettison Jason out into space. There is a hole punctured in the side of the ship, and the suction is pulling on these people trying to suck them out into space. Well, a metal grate falls over the hole, and this girl is hanging on for dear life, and it has the iconic 90s say a quippy line before you die, and she's trying to hold on, and she goes, oh, this sucks, and then gets sucked out through a little, like, a hole like this big. So it's like, you know, dead. My favorite one, I think, is actually, I think, the first kill in the year 455 years later, where there's a student, she's researching his body and sees how grotesque and everything he is, and when she turns her back to him and he comes up, he grabs her face and dunks her face in a cryogenic pool of liquid nitrogen, and she has just enough time to scream before her face crystallizes, and then she immediately is like and dies, and then he pulls her head out of the water or the liquid nitrogen and smashes it on the table, and it just shatters into a million pieces, and it's just like red blood crystals everywhere. It is brutal. It is gross, but it's a good slasher movie. You're getting what you're paying for. It's Jason X, dude. Honestly, I just wanted to talk about a Jason movie today, because it's Friday the 13th, man. If I'm doing a horror movie every day of the month, and we luck out and get a Friday the 13th in October, I had to talk about one. And while I love the original, and I like the remake too, that's one that I can watch all the time, because Jason X is, for me, it's like the epitome of 90s slasher sequels, where it's like, you take the original thing that you loved about the original movies, and you add humor to it. Dark humor. There's lots of humor in this movie as well. Like the android and the dude she's fooling around with, she wants to be more attractive to him, and so she's like constantly asking things that she wants him, like what he wants that she can adjust. And so like there's a whole scene where she's getting nipples added to herself, and one nipple just falls off, and she's like, "Aw." And I don't know why, but that always made me laugh when I was younger. But anyways, that's the episode for today. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hopefully I won't be sick for very long. Tomorrow I'm going to try and do some housework, but also I'm going to try and do some video work as well. Maybe get a couple videos pre-filmed. Hopefully we won't have to put up with sick-sounding Seth for too long. But thank you all so much for watching. Remember what I said yesterday. As your Lord I decree, you must like, share, and subscribe all these videos. Make sure if you enjoyed it, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you enjoyed about it. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you didn't enjoy. If you have something hateful to say, I mean, I don't say something hateful. I don't just put something in the comments. I don't get very many comments, except for the one short video I did with where I had like 30 minutes between shows to do a video, and I did like the throat slit. There was a couple comments in there that were like very positive, like, "Hey, you could do this better," and I appreciated that. But there was some where it was like, "This is obviously fake," and it's like, well, yeah, I didn't really get my throat slit. Is it really that hard to believe that I didn't really commit murder on my channel? I don't know why it was that tough to understand. I don't know. But anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. I love you guys very much. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the darkness around you, because the more you sit back, relax, and enjoy, the more you find funny gems like this, like Jason X. Also, if you find a dude cryogenically frozen with a machete in his hand, having stabbed and killed several people around him, and almost killed the woman he's also frozen with, do me a favor and don't unfreeze the motherfucker, because the dude's obviously a villain. I don't know. Anyways, tune in next time. Love you guys. Have a good night.